Imagine this, Leo.
Okay, I'm imagining.
You're in a foreign airport, totally stressed.
Uh-oh, lost luggage?
Worse, you realize your flight leaves in 10 minutes from a gate you cannot find.
Oh no, that's a true travel emergency.
Exactly. In that moment, do you worry about the perfect past continuous tense?
Absolutely not. You just need someone to understand you right now.
That's the feeling we are talking about today.
Welcome everyone, I'm Leo.
And I'm Mia.
Welcome to the English Blend.
Today we're diving into English for travel emergencies, but it's really about how to speak English when it truly matters.
That means prioritizing communication above all else.
We're going to look at the difference between fluency and accuracy.
And why focusing too much on grammar is actually blocking your ability to communicate effectively when you are in a pinch.
So grab your coffee, maybe a stress ball if you often travel, and let's get started.
Let's do it.
So Leo, when we talk about emergencies, whether it's travel or maybe a quick important chat at work, there is a massive difference between fluency and accuracy, right?
Right, it's the core misunderstanding for so many learners. They think they need to sound like a native speaker on a professional TV show.
They are striving for perfect accuracy. Accuracy, simply put, is being correct.
Perfect grammar, perfect verb conjugation, flawless pronunciation.
That's what teachers often focus on in classrooms, which is important for structured learning. But in the real world, especially in a rush, accuracy can actually be a burden.
It can absolutely hold you back. It's paralyzing.
Think about that airport scenario again. You need to tell the agent, my flight is gate C22. Where is it?
If you stop and think, wait, should I use where is the gate C22 or where is C22 gate? Is the preposition correct?
By the time you've decided, the plane has left.
Seriously, and that's where fluency comes in.
Fluency is about flow and speed.
It's the ability to keep the conversation moving.
It's communication first, getting your point across.
That's our first phrase, actually.
Yes, get your point across.
It means successfully communicating your intended message, regardless of small grammatical errors.
If you say, plane gone, gate C22, fast please.
That agent understands the emergency 100%.
They absolutely do. You got your point across.
And that is a win. That is fluent communication, even if the sentence structure was simple or even slightly broken.
We need to redefine success for our A2, B2 listeners.
Success isn't perfection. Success is being understood.
Especially in those high-pressure emergency situations.
That focus on immediate functional communication brings us to the next big point. Why does grammar block fluency?
It's almost ironic, isn't it? The thing we study the most often becomes the thing that stops us from speaking.
It's because the classroom environment trains your brain to engage the internal grammar checker.
Yes, that little voice in your head that says, stop, before you say that word, check the tense.
It forces you to translate internally.
You think in your native language, construct the perfect English sentence in your head, then check the grammar rules.
Then, finally, you speak it out loud.
And by that time, the native speaker you were talking to has probably moved on or started looking very confused.
Or maybe they just decided to switch languages if they can to.
The problem is speed. When you are focused on accuracy, you are sacrificing speed.
And conversation is fast. It doesn't wait for you to conjugate that irregular verb perfectly.
Think about ordering coffee. A simple, everyday task, not quite an emergency, but it requires flow.
If you say, I wanting a latte, please.
Technically, that's inaccurate grammar. It should be, I want, or I would like.
But the barista totally understood you.
The coffee machine is already whirring. The goal was achieved.
So the grammar block happens when you judge your output before you deliver it.
You are preemptively criticizing your own communication attempt.
And that self-criticism leads to hesitation.
That hesitation slows the flow.
And slowing the flow is the opposite of fluency.
The key is accepting that mistakes are information, not failures.
We talked about this before. Mistakes mean you are testing the boundaries of the language.
Exactly. And native speakers make mistakes all the time, Leo.
Oh, I make mistakes constantly. Sometimes I'll use who when I should use whom.
Which almost no one uses anymore anyway, Leo.
See, even our perfect English changes all the time.
So, if native speakers aren't perfectly accurate, why do learners demand perfection from themselves?
It's often cultural, I think. In some educational systems, a mistake equals a low grade.
And that mindset gets transferred to real-life communication. We need to actively break that chain.
Let me give you a quick story about why fluency beats accuracy in a real pinch. This relates back to the travel emergency idea.
Please share. I love your stories.
A few years ago, I was traveling in Eastern Europe and I needed to catch a very early train. I got to the station and the ticket machine was broken.
Classic travel chaos.
Exactly. So I run up to the counter and I have 5 minutes until the train leaves. The agent didn't speak much English and my local language skills were zero.
High pressure. What did you do?
I needed to say, I need a ticket to City X, but the machine is broken and the train is leaving soon.
A complex sentence structure under normal circumstances.
I panicked slightly and just pointed at the clock, pointed at my destination on a map, and said very loudly, train, leaving, ticket, broken machine, fast.
Oh, the classic caveman communication strategy.
Yes, zero accuracy, minimal vocabulary, but intense urgency.
Did it work?
She looked slightly amused, but she immediately understood the essential components: urgency, broken machine, desired destination, and required action, ticket.
And she issued the ticket?
She did. I made the train. My communication was objectively terrible, but functionally perfect.
That story perfectly illustrates that fluency is communication, not perfection.
It was a true emergency, and the need to get my point across overcame the fear of imperfect grammar.
That fear, Leo, is what we call hitting a wall. That's our second key phrase for today.
Hitting a wall.
When you're speaking and suddenly your brain just stops, you freeze. You can't retrieve the word or the rule. You've hit a wall.
That wall is often built out of too much grammar analysis.
If you hit a wall, you need to remember Leo's train story. Simplify. Use keywords. Point. Use gestures. Don't let the wall stop you. Climb over it with basic vocabulary.
So, how do we train our brains to prioritize flow and avoid hitting a wall when the stakes are high?
We have several practical tips for this, focusing on training the speed muscle, not just the accuracy muscle.
Let's look at practical tip number 1, which is absolutely vital: massive listening.
This sounds intense, but it just means listening to English constantly, even when you aren't actively studying.
You are feeding your brain thousands of examples of how natural speech actually flows.
Not just textbook dialogue, but podcasts, YouTube, Netflix, real people speaking quickly and imperfectly.
This builds intuitive familiarity. When you listen massively, your brain starts recognizing chunks of language.
And that brings us to practical tip number 2, learn in chunks. Instead of learning individual words like I, would, like, to, order, you learn the whole unit. I would like to order a. It's like having pre-built sentences ready to deploy, especially useful in emergencies, like where is the nearest doctor, or my phone is lost.
When you need those sentences in a hurry, you don't have to assemble them word by word. You grab the chunk, and it's ready to go.
It drastically reduces the processing time required for speaking.
And because you heard the chunk thousands of times through massive listening, it usually comes out with the correct natural intonation. So you sound more fluent automatically, even if you're just repeating something you learned as a block.
Let's look at a practical way to implement flow training. Tip number 3, the 3-second rule.
I love this one. It's tough love for your speaking habits.
The rule is simple. When someone asks you a question, you must start speaking your response within 3 seconds.
No matter how grammatically messy that response might be.
If you wait longer than 3 seconds, you have engaged the internal grammar checker. You have already started to hit a wall.
So if I ask you, Mia, what did you do this weekend?
I visited museum. Very interesting, but the ticket line too long.
Perfect.
Technically, you missed an article in a verb form, but I understood completely. You kept the flow.
And if I practice that 3-second rule every day, eventually the correct forms start coming out more naturally because I'm prioritizing speed over perfection.
It trains your brain to accept good enough communication in the moment.
And that good enough is often perfect in a real-life emergency or fast conversation.
Now, let's go to practical tip number 4, which helps combine listening and speaking speed: shadowing.
Shadowing is brilliant for fluency because it focuses purely on sound and speed. You listen to a short piece of audio, maybe 30 seconds of a podcast, and you immediately repeat it exactly as you hear it.
You are trying to match the rhythm, the speed, the intonation, and even the minor imperfections of the speaker. You are not pausing to analyze the vocabulary or the grammar structure. You are just replicating sound.
This technique bypasses the grammar checker entirely. It trains your mouth and brain connection to move faster.
If you do shadowing for 15 minutes a day, you will feel a massive difference in how quickly words come out when you need them.
And one last crucial practical tip. Tip number 5. Use filler phrases.
Filler phrases are your safety nets. They are those little words or short expressions that native speakers use to buy time while they formulate the next thought. Things like, you know, or, well, let me think, or right, or like.
They are crucial for maintaining the flow, the fluency, when you are hitting a wall.
If I ask you a complicated question and you need a second, don't just stand silent.
I'll say, well, that's a tough question. Thinking about it.
That keeps the communication channel open. It signals to the listener, I'm still speaking, I'm just searching for the right words.
It looks much more fluent than a long, silent pause.
Plus, it sounds incredibly natural and friendly.
So let's quickly recap those 5 tips focused on achieving flow. Massive listening. Learning in chunks. The 3-second rule. Shadowing. And using filler phrases.
All designed to help you get your point across quickly and effectively.
Now, Leo, we've covered the stress of travel emergencies and the importance of simple, flowing communication. We need to introduce our final key phrase.
And this is the phrase that gives you permission to make mistakes and to just relax about the whole process.
The phrase is, it's not the end of the world.
It's not the end of the world. This means that the consequences of an error are usually very minor.
If you miss an article in English or confuse he and she in a story, the conversation doesn't stop.
The listener might mentally correct you, but they will still understand the core message. It's not the end of the world.
If I make a grammatical error, I used to feel this wave of panic and embarrassment, thinking I'd failed.
But you realize that 99% of the time, the native speaker barely even registers the mistake because they are focused on the content of what you are saying. They are focused on the meaning, not the structure. Using this phrase, it's not the end of the world, is an internal mantra you can use when you feel that anxiety rising. When you feel yourself starting to hit a wall because you can't remember the exact difference between the present perfect and the simple past, tell yourself, I will use the simple past, even if it's slightly wrong, because it's not the end of the world if I make a mistake, and I need to keep the conversation flowing.
That allows you to prioritize the communication, the fluency, over the accuracy.
That is the whole philosophy of speaking English in high pressure or emergency situations.
So let's run through our 3 useful language focus phrases again.
Number 1, get your point across. Focus on delivering the core message.
Number 2, hit a wall. Recognize when you freeze up and use our tips, like filler phrases, to climb over that wall.
And number 3, it's not the end of the world. Give yourself permission to make mistakes and continue speaking.
That permission is the secret weapon for overcoming the grammar block.
Because the goal is successful communication. Whether you are trying to find the bathroom, report a stolen wallet, or just order dinner.
When you're dealing with a lost passport, a true travel emergency, you need quick, declarative statements. Passport gone. Police station where? Help needed. Even that very simple, basic English is more effective than 5 minutes of silent analysis trying to construct the perfect passive voice sentence.
We have to remember that language is fundamentally a tool for interaction.
It's not a museum piece meant to be admired for its perfection. It's a tool meant to be used.
Use it roughly. Use it often. Don't polish it until it breaks.
Use it like Leo used his urgent fragmented phrases to catch that train.
Exactly. And the more you focus on fluency, the more those natural chunks of language will start to appear automatically.
Because your brain is trained for retrieval speed rather than grammatical correctness speed.
Remember, you can always go back and review the grammar later when you are calm, sitting down, and actively studying. But when the pressure is on, when you need to get your point across, fluency must win the day.
Don't wait for perfection. Perfection is the enemy of progress, especially in communication.
So our final challenge to you is to try the 3-second rule every time you speak English this week.
Force yourself to speak quickly. If you hit a wall, just throw in a filler phrase like, or, you know. And remember that small errors happen to everyone, even us. It's not the end of the world.
Embrace the messy middle of communication.
That was a great talk about how to keep communicating under pressure.
Yes, and next week we are going to dive into the practical vocabulary you need specifically for ordering food in complicated restaurant settings. We'll look at how to handle allergies and substitutions.
Essential phrases for dining out without panic.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of The English Blend.
Practice your flow, keep listening massively, and we'll see you in the next episode of The English Blend.